Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning, Saturday morning, November 5, 2022, November 5th, 2022. You know, it don't take small, will not bring good brother Chain above the African Express. So, of course, with me, Idinaya and Comrade and Cashbox. You know, we can discuss a few items, you know, we're pertinent for bring everything back together. There's a lot of little things that would have happened over the past few weeks, and so we brought a chair about, of course, when I know say can doing program them on Saturdays where they talk about, you know, pertinent issues them across the country. But we can focus on a couple of things there. More so two items them. One, why the judge for the Dr. Samura Kamara case for Come America, for can see waiting. You know, is he the prosecutor and the judge of the case at the same time? Those are some of the questions. So we can discuss that day with my brother, the African Express. And also, we see Parliament, where they sit on it and pass the redenomination, we make the bank governor today, where economy don't crash completely, don't follow, don't fail. There is nothing there. Few months left to elections, 230 days, 9 left to elections. 230 days left to elections. Then the dilly-dally then case there with Dr. Samura Kamara. And then Parliament, Skale Yumkela, and the leader of the opposition, Cheno Majuba, Honorable Cherikoko, and all these other members of Parliament. At a time we'll get a $10 million money we don't missing from NEC, where they claim say them buy equipment them for the elections. That money they young, we not hear nothing, we not see them buy nothing, no come. We see how they mismanage the registration process. For the very first time in the history of the country, 15 days, they didn't give it for register. Basically, they had 2 more days, so 17 days. We see them. You get Kane Yumkela and all these members of parliament, instead of calling NEC, at the time when they don't can declare a PR system, where we don't say section 38A1, make them very clear. Say at the time when these elections are announced and constituencies don't exist, that is the only time when the president may consult with NEC. But we know so we get constituencies that will exist at this particular point in time. And again, section 38, subsection 4, also tell we say, for as long as we get boundaries them, when a lifespan are between 5 and 7 years. So that the only time to do boundary delimitation, not less than 5 years, not more than 7 years. And the current constituency they will get, then good till 2024. If this government will do a boundary delimitation, safe, and then for affect the current constituencies they will get, because that constituency for use going into the 2023 elections. But you see, then guy there at a time like this, where those are the things where they press with people. At a time when they kill citizens, them bury them, body them unconstitutionally. Not for call all them case and the Cherikoko, the leader of the opposition, the members of parliament, they don't for call all the issues and they can't tell we for call bank governor, Kelfala Kalon, the weak link. In a week, yeah, but this one, nobody don't like, nobody knows about. This one already get flack now. Madam Bureau can between her. They don't go between a treat. This one, Kelfala Kalon, nobody know like Cambo. No calling you silent cam. Here the finance minister. At a time where we know say there is nothing there to salvage. The economy don't finish. The exchange rates they rise every day, goods and services. We no one know against. The economy don't well. But the priority at this particular point in time, it is the $10 million scandal where they go on. We then look at the PR system unconstitutionally where they can declare. These are the things so one can you can talk about. We then see what's happening in the country like today. Drug epidemic. We don't see how the drug don't percolate the society. All over now, when they see the video, then push people and they on high. The economy don't finish, the country don't done. Hope not there. And we hope not in the nation. What's in the happen? People resort to these kinds of things. Drug addiction. So these are the things we want for can discuss. Why a Fisher for can America for can see? Is Fisher the prosecutor and the judge? Because it's a Fisher, don't forget, say, you know, to prosecutor. Like when we talk about the background, I just know it communicate they bring this point here up. We don't forget say Fisher be the prosecute. Now him prosecute people like communicate them. Now him prosecute Paolo Conte them. Now him prosecute Diami them. All of those people there, George Williams them. All of these people where Fisher prosecute. So don't forget say he not to the prosecutor, he is a judge. And when he not to the prosecutor, now the prosecutor has the responsibility for bring the evidence. Because again, don't forget say before them call Samura Kamara and say they get case against them, one will not say it's a political case. Now nonsense case, you know the whole water. It is a political ploy for destroy him because they don't say now the only person will get what it take for kick Marabi out of power in 2023. So Fisher, don't forget, say he's not a prosecutor. Now he's a judge. Now he for Sido, he waited the prosecution, carry the evidence. What's if Fisher can do America? We already say they left for parking back there now. For left for car America, they go reach there Sunday or Monday. What they can do for can look waiting. As the judge, like how brother African is president to come. This is not a commission of inquiry. Where we say the judge get the right, the authority for go and go see the crime scene. But this is a case where the government bring come, then get prosecutors them. Now them supposed for again. This is all taxpayers' money, wasting of taxpayers' money. Money where for use for direct properly, let the economy, for they put them towards certain areas of the economy. We need poor healthcare, poor education, poor road network. We see all anything there. These are the things we can discuss, But go ahead, come on in. Actually, bro, Channel, tell family real quick, and then I'll bring in Comrade. Tell family real quick.
Yes, family, good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you listen to this audio. But I believe most of what I got for listening this morning, as this morning we'll talk about these very important issues. And thank you very much to all of Ibrahim, Cashbox, Communicator, and People's Power for bringing me again on this wonderful platform. So I look forward to this very important conversation and also for help bring to people important updates regarding what's going to happen in the last couple of months since we meet again for talk about issues related to the Leon. Thank you.
Absolutely. Communicator, go ahead and tell family I do real quick.
Good morning, fellow Sierra Leoneans. We can always help and say they bring say something very important for discuss. They all know say this chance rebuilding, what make we all can know but now we in being right. We prosecute the corruption, the money we knock out in a saloon. We SLP government don't fraudulently combat the money, then combat like saying they do the work na New York, why is they eat the money? Then you see, let me tell you something, saloon people, every now and then they try for to say, when I not listen for yet let's understand. Because the combination like this now, people will begin figure out what thing this government they can derive to. Many months then they can say they find out what this money what's the African Express pool and what's in the ACC don't charge Samura for. One thing we know, the ACC are the only institution they need to carry case that court without not get the evidence of the matter. Then the first thing falls. But then we can't run properly. Anyway, when I know say who they can talk on this platform, I say time and again say only they make music. No so say I sing with the sing. No say no getting for do. They come for make people understand. The promotion mentality laid on. Now make the count African Express back. But we can discuss this one great chance to build the whole salon to ransom because the whole country now they don't put to ransom. Almost know how this case there for end, Ibrahim.
Absolutely. And to that point, Comrade, you make so Kashi, go ahead and tell family I do. I just want to remind everybody, say actually about this week, now I make a 1 year. When Dr. Samura Kamara invited the ACC, the commission, the Anti-Corruption Commission office, when them police them go and go fire tear gas and disrupt the people them, we come up for go support Dr. Samura Kamara. I think this week they pass so make the whole thing there a year. That's how long this case don't prolong. But go ahead, Kashi, tell family I do.
Family una adu, una good afternoon, good evening, and good morning. Ibrahim Chino is always which you can call on the B-52 bomber.
Absolutely.
For too long we don't tell people the impact of dancing there. Look like your introduction. This man don't touch now the go New York. Whether I want eat per diem, whether I want to sit on a plane, whether I want to go America for use government resources, waste of taxpayers' money. Where it be said that these guys know where the truth lies, but they just no one actually tell people waiting at the truth. They know where the truth lies, but they just confusing people. They just the big fool people because they see society where desperately they look for answer to the problem, look for answer to the drug epidemic in the country. People are looking for these things, Ibrahim. But these guys just sit down, they waste people their money all over the place. Wait till you go do America. You ask the judge. They wait for me. You case the case that when you come before you, like again, you're supposed for use. Now make when you be judge if you don't get experience. But like what's it come here? They say this guy now prosecute Comrade Quetta, now prosecute Paulo Conte, now prosecute Abubakar Dayami, Judge Williams. All the list goes on. Look, I the APC. In fact, like today, waiting let me tell we the APC let me tell we say, oh, Fisher won't pass judgments on Alfred Peter Conte this week before they go America. Now Friday don't know so they don't know. Today they don't pass judgment. APC just see don't know more than they offer this guy say this guy go pass judgment. If this guy can treat Paulo Conte, Comrade Quentin, Abubakar George, Jarabi, about George Williams. That way it treats them. Why make people feel say Samura Kamara, APC, go get freer judgment from this guy? Over to you, Brian.
You know, Gashi, thank you. You know, Brother Chenoba of the African Express, thank you again for joining us. But talk to we. You know, break this whole thing for we, yeah? Because we can discuss a couple of different angles them and issues them. Like I say again with Kali Yunkin and all of that. But I'll talk first about this Chansky case because now you unearth this one whole case here. So, is there anything now against Dr. Samura Kamara? We know say this is a political witch hunt. Talk to we, Brother Cheno. Why fish at the car America for can't see evidence? Is it the prosecutor or the judge? Talk to me, Brother Cheno.
Yes, thank you very much again for bringing me on this show. We're going to establish up front, I think so I don't already point out some of the inadequacies and injustices surrounding the trial. Number one, the trial don't last longer than any other trial of this nature where we don't witness that alone. If we want, they can say now 1 year now. In this 1 year, they don't get 18 witnesses now testifying in this trial. But the unfortunate part, to answer your question directly, the case in Freetown, the case where they get that Freetown, and the case and the substance of the case in New York, not to the same thing. Mm-hmm. Why we say that? This matter only came up after the African Express publication in May 2021, which shows say nearly $5 million in the government of Sierra Leone under Mada Bureau transfer in 2019. Between June to September 2019, they transferred nearly $5 million in the name of renovating the embassy building in New York. At the time, the people that have been there in charge of the Foreign Affairs Ministry in Freetown and the people that have been there in charge of the embassy, they include Ali Kaba, Nabila Tunis. You get Kai, you get a range of other officials. But the most important thing is that all of the people who have been there in charge, when they transfer that money, they not charge them. They not put them in a court as people who were responsible for the state of the building. Then decide for the only foreign affairs, senior foreign affairs official, the only person at the rank of minister, we then put at the ministerial level, then put in a court, that the former foreign affairs minister, in this case, the former APC, then 2018 flag bearer, Samura Kamara. Then the only person. Then all the people that were in charge, when they transfer the money we produce, we are the only evidence again we available outside the public. The only evidence regarding the council building case, that the evidence with the African Express published. And we publication are on two sides. One is show how the money come on at China in 2018. The first transfer happened on the 2nd of May. All the other transfers then happened at the time when Mother Bureau don't take power. And then done at 2018. Then in 2019, then transfer that money the way they receive in New York, then chop all the money. They don't do nothing at the building. They take building permit, they don't even pay the contractor. These are the time where Ali Kabaren have been ministers and at the same time ambassadors. And they're all, instead of making them put them in a court, then take them, then make them as witnesses against the former foreign affairs minister. We don't left power before, they don't left office before the trial start. So since the trial start again, 18 people there, all the 18 people there, most of the witnesses, or all of the witnesses again against the Samura and the other people there, basically the people that were exposed for day as the accused persons. So the one that we took the money 2019, instead of them make them be witness against the people that we don't come out of power. Now, even under the time where APC been there, at the time, if what did the anti-corruption say that they go back for check and see who that be not in power. If that is the basis of the argument, again, you can get two former deputy ministers, you can get a director general at the time, but nobody in the past government, so to speak, when at the level of minister or deputy minister was ever charged again. So this is tell you say, even when the toxic and they go back for look, now only one person of significant winner Samura Kamara then go after. And that in itself is very problematic in the sense that a selective way, a selective targeting of an individual. You know, we use anti-corruption as a political weapon for fight against your opponent. And this is important in the sense that both in the APC and at the level of the national politics, they don't show say all of the players involved are targeting one individual. But up and above,
Chino, can I ask a very quick, sorry, carry on. Just finish because I want to ask you a quick question.
Yeah, the most important thing I want for underline that this court case don't progress. Before ACC charged the case last year, November to December, before they start the case, ACC they don't send the investigators. The investigators don't go to China and they don't go to America. They don't investigate all. They don't carry the evidence. Now, 1 year into the trial, the judge don't pass order. The 20th of October, Fisher, as the presiding judge, he and the lawyer there and the accused persons have all for Canada and New York for Canada review before the case done, before they decide what to do with the case. So what we try to show now is the fact that in that instance, we raise the question, what did the judge the trial for Canada look for in New York? Because we want a criminal trial. In a criminal trial, the judge for the political judge that for receive evidence, not for. So by taking the decision, say the move from 3 times.
Chino, hold on. Kashi, I just want to say mute. Kashi. Chino, hold on. Chino, hold on. Chino. Kashi, mute. Chino, hold on 1 second.
To evidence produced by the so this is not only unprecedented in a way, because of a commission of inquiry, but they also don't put the judge in a situation where the judge is trying by implication, by that move alone or that decision alone, the judge they try for putting himself on the side of looking for evidence.
Right, Chino, can I ask you the question where I want to ask you just now before you go in detail about this? You know, you talked about reading your article some time ago, and you also just make mention of the former. You say 2 former ministers they must they.
Hello.
Yeah, what to get you?
Yeah, I think Cashbox in question will come out.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know what you can try for ask in this case before we lost them, but yeah, what you mean to try? What you make? I go to the background of the case now because the ACC in their own claimed investigation say that they go back to 2011 to 2019. So if that is the case, if at the time frame of the case that we have to underline the fact say nobody at the level of at the ministerial level, other than one of the people that we only serve in the Foreign Affairs Ministry has been targeted. That therefore be underlined, which is a significant point. It shows a deliberate effort on the part of the Commission and other parties who are interested in the case for single out one individual of higher importance for targeting in the matter.
Chino, sorry, I just got interrupted there. I mean, just want to ask specifically to that point where you make say there were 2 former ministers, and what I want to make clear, what I want to understand, when you say former ministers, you mean ministers before Samura Kamara go to Foreign Affairs, or the former ministers are people we also include after Samura Kamara left Foreign Affairs?
No, at the talk, if you talk about looking at a ministry, the administration of
yes.
Ministers, administrative and political heads of a ministry.
Yeah.
At the time when Samura Kamara they serve as minister, you also get at least 4 people there. The minister, the ministers, and a director general when are the administrative head of the ministry.
Absolutely.
As we talk, we look the court papers, only Samura Kamara among those senior officials that served together with him in the ministry at the time was the only one that was singled out and indicted. One of the witnesses in the case, now in fact, have been the Director General of the Foreign Affairs Ministry, is listed in the court papers as one of the witnesses. So so in this case, the type of talk say the minister is the only one responsible, not his deputies, not the administrative head of the ministry, where in this case the Director General will function as a permanent in the equivalence of a permanent secretary in the Foreign Affairs Ministry. So that in itself, these are all inadequacies in the trial or in the process of the trial, the details of the trial will make the entire case in itself much more political than legal. But up and above that, now we don't move 1 year into the trial. All of the evidence that is out there, including money stolen by officials of the government of Madabio, all of the officials they then serve, none of them not serve as at the level of minister, deputy ministers, and ambassadors or deputy ambassadors. They're all are witnesses against the former mill. So you see on both sides, you see say there is an effort or was an effort from the beginning of the case for single out, use evidence that did not exist or that is supposed to be corruption committed by people under the current government against people who have not left the past government. If the government of Madabi Nuse, the chance rebuilding case was already a matter for them, therefore we don't pick them up during the trials, or during the investigation, the COI, and all of the forensic audits and investigations we then do after APC left the power. But that was never the case. Hello?
They get you, Chairman. They get you.
Yeah. So that was never the case. So that's one for established. But I think that the most important thing, that's subject of a conversation here, moving forward, 1 year down the line, with all the witnesses that we don't testify, now the judge don't take the decision on the 20th of October. Say the entire trial, the team of the trial, the court now, the judge, the prosecution now, they're all for Trabucan and New York for look the building, and this then decide that on the 20th of October. But the most important thing, not just the visit, that the way unprecedented, that the fact that the judge requests money from government for additional money, and when he calculate, what did the judge say? He said that for Canada, New York, and you need return air ticket for the presiding judge, then if you forget business class ticket and a court registrar, then for travel from Freetown to New York and back to Freetown. Then from there, you need again return air ticket for 2 prosecutors and from the ACC. We for travel with them from Freetown to New York and back to Freetown. You need, then the judge say you need per diem for the presiding judge and the court registrar for the duration of the visit. Per diem also for the prosecutor for the duration of the trip. They need also return air ticket for the first third accused person from Freetown to New York and back to Freetown. They also need return air ticket for the lawyer the way they represent the first, third, and the fifth accused from Freetown to New York and back to Freetown. I want to establish the only person among the people that way they go to New York we say in no one government pay for her, na Samura Kamara your own lawyer. They say they pay for themselves. So the return air tickets, according to this judge, he said they for buy the ticket them from Freetown to Dakar to New York. It's the cheapest one. But when we calculate all of this, we are talking about where you put the judge in ticket now, in per diem now, all the people they go with the hotel, everything, you are talking about above $100,000 that this trial therefore cost we for me the judge come on and Freetown for Canada, New York for Canada look. And according to the court papers, then we supposed for left Freetown on the 30th of October and return, and they are up to the 6th day of November. So which means that they come for 1 week, they're not in charge, and the next week then they expect them to say they left from Monday now for Kamia. This is clearly tell you, say, the judge, the question we raise for you, number one, what is the reason we make the judge for come on na Freetown for Canada look the building? That's number one. Because already the ACC, as you remember, did not spend money, said they investigate the case, they said then go China, then come to New York, then go to Kenya, then go to places before they charge the matter go to court. Which evidence where the court, if any evidence left where for produce, that the prosecution, the ACC, that the responsibility for producer. Absolutely. It is not the responsibility of the judge for look for evidence. Because the judge, the argument I will say, I want to see the building man, no, what they talk if they are true or, because that is what is in the court papers. It says they can't visit the site. It is not the commission of inquiry. In the commission of inquiry, you could say the panel, the judges or the judge, like how Bio Bele Bindu, we go visit the site of the youth farm. You could say, okay, one can see the site and would say before I get an informed opinion. But the judge, in this case, in a criminal trial, whether the site of the crime or evidence that the way for produce is the responsibility of the prosecution for produce evidence way for convince the judge regarding their own case. It is not the responsibility of the judge for spend with you money, for come back to New York, for look and inspect and carry out an investigation on the site of the building for making able to get an understanding of the situation. So up and above that, the trip they serve two things. One, it continue for delay the trial. Number two, whether the most important thing, it waste with your money. And up and above that, it also shows an effort on the part of the court, on the part of the judge, for not only delay the trial and waste public money and look for opportunity for take more per diem, but at the same time, the judge, they try for making it part of the investigation, part of the effort for help the prosecution in this case, because there is no reason or justification why the judge not for able to listen to after listening to all the evidence in this one whole year, he still one can see the building and say, now when I can't see the building, I will able inform myself, because it's responsibility again of the prosecution for provide all documentary evidence, all other kind of evidence for proof the young case beyond reasonable doubt that the allegation against the accused persons can be supported with evidence, undeniable evidence, and the judge again, whether evidence exists, then New York with the prosecution not out with it, not in your business. Your business for judge the case based on the evidence that is in front of him. So you see, say Fisher, apart from the fact that the qualification of Fisher for practice law in a salon, and the nature and manner in which he was contracted for carry out this, we don't see Fisher a role as Nadon Pointer as a judge that has been used consistently since the hire against opposition element, and one of the people that we don't destroy the dispensation of justice, the rule of law, and a fair trial and salon. That has to be underlined.
Yeah,
each and every Sierra Leonean be concerned about this, because now they don't waste over $5 million. And New York not if I link about other people, they're able to justify, and the evidence exists. All of the trial, that evidence is right there, and the people who should be held responsible for transactions that happened in 2019 under Madabiu, if the Chancery building have been problem, why the government decide before Madabiu came to power? Why then decide for transfer nearly $5 million? And New York, what you happy to that money? Where is that money?
No, that because we want to ask you. Just like we talk about Fisher then drop her out of prosecution because he failed prosecute Paulo in prison trial. Then Treban say they not leave. Then Treban na court. So we will see a young kid and here and there. You know, going back to history of how this thing happened. My own question I want to ask you, because you know the person make all no say if I had a chance to build the day, they no use again. What thing you be forced prosecute, where be the way to expose. Now money when transfer can a saloon, they hear or na the building will not build, which are forced to be prosecuted for temple and say, hey, money be not can a saloon, or na the building you be go talk for force. Because for later can't say the judge they can't fly, they need to do with evidence again before them, because judge they only begin matter na court when they don't get evidence. Because for any case we judge the court to get the evidence before we begin the trial. This is a trial, not only my state as na high court case. So what do you been bring force to the people there? Now what building on a money you been got force?
Published that the facts say over $4.6 million was transferred between in 2019 by Madabiu and your officials in New York in the name of renovating the building way for a house we diplomats in New York where we send the United Nations. So we find out say even though they don't transfer that money they not do nothing with the money, they not put that money there in 2019 towards the building. You don't understand? So the building is basically a secondary aspect of situation. If they use the money, the $4.6 million you not do by the building, a different case. Or then decide say now this building here, I don't come meet I not finish. Would that then they investigate and find out say money whether we make for the building it all lost before APC can have power. That been different case. But they don't do that to where they come, then transfer money with nearly $5 million for say the
no more go do so.
You don't
no more go do so cab drivers. Oh so
you don't understand? Now the Howard that then decide say then they transfer nearly $5 million for come renovate the building and add 2 more floors. They not do none of that, and the money again they don't pull out all at the account. They not use up on the building. So the question here is the government officials under Madabiu use the name say that they can't build with embassy, can renovate the embassy, but maybe they able to transfer money to New York. Because they transfer money from Salon, $4 million and something, nearly $5 million. You got to tell the bank where they receive the money. Now, what do you do the bank? So then just make like say that they can't build embassy, but make them get away for $5 million, and that they do. So the actual crime here is the theft of over $5 million in the name of building an embassy that was never done. And now we don't catch it. And they talk about that one deal. And we go talk say APC we don't take money to it and for build this building. And Samura Kamara take the money. So that
thank you. Chino, thank you very much. You see, And interesting that point, that question that we comrade raise. You see, it is very crucial because the thing here, it's like a financial fraud. In other words, like of course, financial fraud can mean anything, but like this is not like auditors they get one thing when they call like existence testing, where it be said and kind of like if like the answer what you give, if like them be actually give money. And then they say, oh, Samura Kamara was part of like the process where they disburse money, but Samura Kamara not actually kind of like use the money or the building not complete. Then we see the need for make like Fisher say, okay, me now they go now the place self or go see if it was the work was done or not. But in this case, now I make in the background I ask you, Chino, say, waiting that Samura Kamara in charge. Like you kind of like this was something where it be say this thing, like the people where disbursed the money during the time for me the building go on, Samura Kamara wasn't part of that process. So there was no need for me the judge even involved in first of all, you don't let the premise say the judge not supposed to sit on based on the evidence that way they can give. So why now a case where not get to do with like say Samura Kamara wasn't kind of like disbursing money or the contract how the building they go and all that thing and why do you need to do like an existence testing where it be say Samura Kamara in case you say Samura Kamara kind of like misappropriates the money? So what thing get to do with Naya for me you go see the building and get Samura Kamara involved?
Yeah, the whole point that like in most what you call money laundering operations or illicit financial flows, you get to establish the cause, the reason why they carry out money, and in most cases,
absolutely,
we don't find out. Say, construction projects, real estate is one of the ways and channels through which fraudulent governments and also political officials or public officials or political exposed can use for divert money.
Yeah.
In this case, there's a clear evidence of the transfer of nearly $5 million from Sierra Leone in 2019 in the name of a construction project by the government of Sierra Leone was never done. And that transaction was carried out by officials of the Madabio government, and who, in this instance, are not held responsible for the transaction. They have been, in other words, being used.
All right, it looked like we lost Cherna, but I think if anything, the fact has been established. This whole case, we know say it's politically motivated, and one salon people don't understand say all these guys waiting to drive towards that for just ensure say then take away the wish of the people. When you look at the political landscape today in the country, people want yes. Go ahead, Cherna.
The use of legal channels for divert money. That is the most essential aspect. And now still, instead of they address that one, they defend more ways for loot the country money, because this when you get over 10 people and now they can't travel for Canada, New York, including a judge, say they can't visit New York for 1 week for look at the building, they are not actually addressing the problem. Then they further use of taxpayers' money, waste of taxpayers' money, opportunity for loot taxpayers' money through per diems and travel. And that has been a pattern of the BO government. Almost every official in the BO government uses international travel for collect per diems and cash withdrawals and all of these situations. It's an ongoing enterprise of looting the national treasury, involving members of the judiciary, at the levels of parliament, and the executive branch of government. And everybody seems to be okay with it.
Absolutely.
I mean, what is more clear? Sorry, Ibrahim. Sorry, come on in.
No, Kashi, go ahead.
No, what's more clear with this whole thing where AB say, bank transaction reference numbers have been provided to these guys. Like the transaction, the bank then they outside the money go when they make this payment. What is more clear than that? Well, when you go see building, because the problem where we get now, the fact that the monies were spent, we don't know outside the money go. The money disappear, and the evidence is about like outside the money go, the bank outside them pay them. They are all there. That's alone. China don't confirm. You've seen the payments from China, the Chinese government. What else do you need for kind of like pass judgment to this whole thing? God only knows.
Kashi, to that point, we all see where Ali Kaba in family then get business where the business now to that business they then transfer some of the funds, and a lot of these other people. One thing I know for sure, the fact that they move the money and trying to buy, financing, banking, and a lot of that, difficult for him to trace all of this money eventually when a serious investigation will be held. Because this is not a case we get for die anytime soon. The next administration gets a responsibility for bring clarity to this case. All the people over there at the U.S. Chancery building at the time when the $5 million was transferred, everybody, how that money come up from that bank account inside America, Iwaka, with a trace one after the other, and how to put together. But Brother Channel, so that question where Cashbox asks, so let's go to Parliament. The role of Parliament in all of this. Parliament not ever able to take up any of your findings, your publications, them now the well of Parliament for discuss, and we don't discuss this already a couple of times, right? But then you look at Kanda Yunkela today, they call the bank governor. For the bank governor come and testify for say the economy, why the state of the economy. And these are the same kind of Yunkela we vote for the Gidi nomination. At a time when we know say economy was not as buoyant. We not be need no really nomination. All these guys they be need for for stop for thief the money in the country. Let man be left for take travel per diem. Like way a fisher is everyone take travel per diem. So let us talk about Parliament small, Brother Chino. How Parliament relates to this whole thing. What is the role of Kanda Yunkela and the Cherry Cocos and every member of Parliament at a time like this? Whether for they talk about the $10 million from ECSL, for they talk about the PR system, but no, they left all of Dandy for call for the end of this nonsense case against this political victimization of Dr. Samura Kamara, but they left all the issue and they called bank governor. Talk to me about that.
No, in the first place, we will now talk about it. In the for 4.5 years, Madabio not operate the way we operate because they do them alone. No, there will have been no way the government will function if Parliament not been collaborate for help the government to function. And one way Parliament not able to get away with this because parliamentarians pretend say Madabio na the dangerous devil. We all man they free that it can do anything when they bulldoze them. I think they would have not addressed sufficiently over years now when I talk about the idea say bulldoze are just fake. And we see this because effort being on the part of Parliament for hide the public elections bill. And all these things start, the public elections bill, Parliament for being passed into law, or if we been passed into law, we will not even for know. Now when we expose them, I know what happened since we exposed that public election bill. Now from that time parliamentarians they begin attack we. APC parliamentarians, opposition members, opposition supporters they begin attack African Express since then. And everything that we said regarding the public elections bill and waiting for happen, waiting and plan for do it, and I happen with registration.
Exactly.
Now registration done. Parliament not even worry about the production of the voters register. Where the voter register first. For many people that register a problem. Registration done though ECSL just hold everybody name, everybody detail, go hide, go keep in a corner. Any serious parliament by now for don't order an investigation to the entire registration exercise. That include even the procurement surrounding the election. Election procurement is fundamental. We're talking about over $10 million now where ECSL go account for. Now the Chancery building case, now less than $10 million. You got to deal with procurement. But they all want the Chancery building case for go forward. They don't want to talk about the $10 million ECSL procurement. If the commission not able to account for money where they will use for buy election material, how they go able to account for vote and voter? I don't see for me they register people and they prevent people from register. What the parliamentarians do? They go hide. Then instead they begin to tell people and say, "Una report to European Union."
Yeah.
Instead of reporting the MPs and nobody not talk, no statement. We know the effect will be the effect with the over call them out for it and keep quiet. All that now people that register not because members of parliament want me to register, members of parliament help them, and because we ordinary citizens we platform them, everybody tower post video of difficulties. Now the ambassadors, the EU ambassador, UK ambassador, American ambassador, I mean, they go center to center. Even at that, now only 10% of centers then the UK they're able for vet. Some of the registration centers, the opposition people don't even put agents there. APC, when you check them, they would like you and say 80% of centers, but 80% of centers never had APC party agents where they supervise registration.
That's a fact.
Registration will happen, and people then determine, people that would then bench them with the umbrella and then go out. Up to now, nobody know how many people they register, who side they register, which center register more. Today we don't know. What in the members of parliament don't do? They don't do nothing. Instead of the debate, they want to make like say they're opposition and they are against proportional representation. When proportional representation in the first place is supported by the opposition MPs, that they want proportional representation. It will be to the benefit of NGC, it will be to the benefit of Cheriku Kodem, because I don't see their own party. They want to go to parliament without an election. They want to appoint themselves in charge of parliament. They want to enlarge their representation in parliament. And that are the bargain. The proportional representation as part of the public elections arrangement, like compensation for opposition MPs in parliament who have agreed to help Madabiu to pass a law to suppress voters, for give the president the extraordinary power, for sack the electoral commissioner, for give an extraordinary power, both the commission and the president, the power for determining the outcome of an election. Parliament is in the middle of all this crisis, and the creator. Now, when the crisis don't happen, we don't expose them in the time of threat for making them appear launder their own image, because they are deep in the thing. There will have been no denomination, even the introduction of the new currency. The bill for that, they not ever debate, and they left it in a parliament. It takes 21 days. Go look at the Hansards. Look at the records. Before Kalfala Kalon, they take over as bank governor. He took him. He said, "Wait, can they harass opposition people there? You could sanction them money. You could tight them for the money. For money, he said they don't keep money in their house." Any serious parliament would have taken that statement as part of the scrutiny for the qualification of the bank governor. They allowed the bank governor, approved him as bank governor. Not only that, they allowed him to stay for these 4 or 5 years. They never question, almost 5 years now. They never question. Now with the economy in crisis, as part of their own endorsement, the legal instrument where the central bank they use for regulate the money market and all of the capital market policies, fiscal policies, were approved by Parliament. Parliament not being any problem when Leadway, as a private company, was authorized by the president for collect revenue on behalf of government, a direct violation of the National Revenue Act. Right now, to the talk show this week, Parliament approved 2 major agreements for privatize, for give some a private company from South Africa, if you like, the opportunity for to collect taxes on behalf of government. People know that? No. For introduce digital tax collection tools without the knowledge of the public. As we talk, there are 2 dangerous laws in front of Parliament that have been there. The Political Parties Act, when a law where they regulate how people can form political party for, it will make it difficult to make people form political party. Like right now, if we don't hijack APC, so if people don't disagree with APC, they want to form a new party before election, they don't go able. Based on that particular law, they will Parliament pass. They don't tell you what's inside the Political Parties Act of 2002, the bill where they want to pass, for change the Political Parties Act of 2002, for give PPRC more power, like how they give ECSL more power. Now Parliament, they don't ever tell you that. No, they don't talk. Parliament don't ever tell you say they get a law in front of them where they deal with national security and central intelligence, where they can give ONS more power. It's just like how the cyber law. Now, when you look at the cyber law, you look at the new Central Intelligence Act, where the type of passed 2022. Now the same. It allows central intelligence agencies therefore for go inside your house anytime when they want and check your phone and seize your computer and seize, or accuse you of trying to create some kind of a coup or instability in the name of national security.
Right.
Then they violate the right, which is much more dangerous than even the Cyber Act. Parliamentarians, they don't tell people about that. No, they never tell people that. When we talk about even this airport agreements, they talk about now Madabiu, he changed agreement. Cancel the airport and Mama, we for build one whole airport for 300 million. Now you go build a new terminal for 200 million. Who are they approval? Parliament. Parliament approved the agreement. Parliament approve or accept the agreement for made an auction with terminal then to a Turkish company for over 25 years. They tell you about it. No. We don't publish all of them here.
Absolutely.
So who said this parliamentarian and they go and talk say that they won't become parliamentarians. They won't become opposition. They are not opposition. There is no economic crime or policy that Madabiu has committed in the last 4 years that is not within the endorsement and approval of Parliament. Parliament approved all of the budgetary proposal of the government, then budgetary estimate. This year alone in June, Parliament even approved the supplementary budget.
Yeah. Even
when the finance ministry not even show what they don't do with the money. Halfway into the fiscal year, they gave a supplementary budget to the minister. When at that time, many of the MDAs and they not even receive the second quarterly payment, second quarterly disbursements. Ask within government, there are MDAs up to now. They're not able to receive their second payment. Where the year they try for done so.
Wow.
All of the budget. So the question is, what happened to the budgetary estimates and allocations to various MDAs that have not been disbursed? If you check from IMC and other agencies, the environmental agencies, and they were all,
right,
you will find out the year they will not receive all of their budgetary allocations. And then the Minister of Finance, they go to Parliament, they request for supplementary allocations. They are given the authorization for do that. So we really, this is how we call state capture. The opposition has an interest in the dangerous policies we might have built on pass.
Absolutely.
Over the years. So then a Parliament, they work with government in one hand, they kind of public go on radio, make like say that they are against Madabio or the powerless and able to challenge Madabio. That's what they do. And you get the supporters the way they believe there and cause people the way they try to assess all of this double standard behavior on the part of MPs. So really, as soon as I don't talk, this is not the Parliament. Make we all pray and hope the people of Sierra Leone will able to get the opportunity for cast them ballot and choose correct leaders in the correct way. And this makes them talk about proportional representation. We know they talk about changes in the electoral system if Parliament, they organize election without election law. We can get an election law with the past 2012. There was no problem with it. Now under that same law, the Madabio become president. Now, the decision on the part of government and Parliament for bringing a new law, then cause all the problem we don't get with the electoral system, including the idea of boundary delimitation, fake census, MCRA, NIN, all of these things the way don't make it difficult, make election difficult, make democracy tedious, make people's participation tedious, human rights violations, killings will not take place all over the country. So, going up and up all that, now hypocrisy on the part of the MPs.
Absolutely.
If they will not raise the questions, and these questions are corruption by ECSL, corruption across government. We don't get a country right after as we talk. We get a country with no audit service because if you get an auditor general, acting auditor general that is not approved by Parliament for a year, now audit service done it. And now you will hear at the end of the year, somebody who is not qualified to superintend the government audit will be producing a report, and Parliament will send an audit report so for debate.
Exactly.
So anyway, I think so we don't prolong this conversation, but I want to thank Kuna for this. What we want for repeat and for tell the people that say Fisher, they try for take all the lawyer there, all the people who are accused of corruption, the chance building for take more money, which will be over $100,000 for Flycan and New York. Say that they come look at we chance rebuilding.
Exactly.
More waste money and more unnecessary expenditure on the taxpayers and delay in the dispensation of justice. And we need for call on people, democratic organizations and individuals for demand from Fisher the speedy conclusion of this trial, fair trial. You cannot delay justice for this long. And where the evidence does not exist, it not exist.
Absolutely.
You cannot force the evidence. A judge cannot go out looking for evidence where the evidence doesn't exist. The evidence laid down. We can do it. Ali Kabare and the Madabio government take nearly $5 million. You left and they look for evidence where it doesn't exist. That is the problem.
Yeah.
And China, if you were a judge,
support this,
and then
opposition politics support this because it helps their own flag bearer effect. It helps their own competition for the next election, and it's not helpful to the people of Sierra Leone. If Madabio believes, say, in a good president, he perform well, then they rate in a good champion, good democratic champion. Why the failed election? Why the try for stifle people enough for vote? Why the try for exclude politicians then from participating in the election? If people compete fairly in a multi-party environment, you should not be scared of competition. You're not afraid that you copy politicians there and use law and court for remove them from competition. You not use law and institutions for prevent people and for register for vote. If you truly believe, say, you're a democratic leader, people that like you, open yourself to election and see what will happen. They don't want to do that.
Absolutely.
If China, I want to ask you a question. If you're a judge and no evidence, no day, what do you go do? You defend for you go look for like what you say, you go and look for the for the evidence, or what would you do? Would you not just kick the case out? No, this is political.
They already even the way they listen to the proceedings, the court, they know say the evidence not allow them for arrive at the conclusion where they want for arrive at, which is
exactly
to prosecute and convict the main accused person, really, in this case, when the politician where they campaign against, including members of the opposition and their friends in the ruling party. And that is unfortunate because with all the COI, with all the GTT and all the talk about corruption, they're not getting nothing for hang on a publication produced by the Africanist Press, and they left the evidence what we produced dealing with transactions and money stolen from the Bank of Sierra Leone by foreign affairs officials and diplomats in New York in 2019. They applied for data evidence
way backwards. That doesn't allow. So you see the problem. This data you say the whole idea of corruption, not just a political weapon. So and only than the corruption is only targeted against politicians who are not in support of Mother Bureau and continuation in power, which is why you will even say they investigate the Foreign Affairs Ministry under Samura. During the time Samura was the minister, why did he leave other senior officials in the ministry? So these are all real questions that they need to answer.
Exactly.
We therefore able to identify truth. The main point at the fact that if we agree, say we will look at corruption holistically, it has to be holistic. And regardless of how we disagree with people, a political organization, a political party, or an individual, we should be able to identify truth where it exists, regardless of whether that truth affects someone or benefits someone, even if those individuals are our own sworn opponents or enemies.
Absolutely. You know, Cheno, when you look at this Wangen Fisher, now the same judge this way hold the APC party to ransom because he issued out a ruling for dissolve the executive, the elected executive of a whole political party. Then the same judge now he hold up the political party back, the leading contender of the APC as a political party. Now the same judge hold that person back to ransom. Now he get the responsibility for destroy that person in political ambition, destroy in turn the APC people and the supporters of the people of Sierra Leone as a whole. Because I tell you, this kind of case when they do so, it's all about infecting the democratic process that the country at the end of the day. This one great judge, now they perform all this perform inside the country. You get civil society organizations them. Then they see this miscarriage of justice. All of these organizations. Now the European Union come out and make them very clear for say the people of Sierra Leone don't trust the judiciary anymore. They don't trust NEC. They don't trust PPRC. They don't trust the police. But look at what is happening today. But like I said, we'll really prolong this conversation. With the left and we'll be intent for making a very short one. But while Salon people they know say, then guys they continue for wreak havoc now the converse of the Salon people the money. Now we converse. Then continue for wreak havoc. Over $100,000 for Kansi building. With everything, even recently, we don't even talk about your video where you go to the Chancellor building, where you go to your video, you even talk to the neighbor them. How much more evidence does anybody need with those videos? But anyways, this judge, they forget say he's a judge, but it look like Serena the prosecutor. He's the prosecutor and the judge of this case here. That the two-pronged approach and the role and the way they play, and that they show and clearly say this whole thing is politically motivated. Like how we all don't see, and from the time immemorial, we don't say there is no case. All the try for do, they want to find a way through the judiciary for use the judiciary. Will be number one cause of the rebel war back to 1991 logo. Ali Kaba them. The same Ali Kaba were involved so for the Chancellor building. Now the same Ali Kaba start the rebel war. We're going to Libya and the Mataba for carry the rebel war. Now the same Ali Kabari is now involved for this level of corruption, and then they use the judiciary, the same judiciary where Ali Kabago complained for. Instead of making it go to Bush, the judiciary, the police, bad corruption, bad politicians, corruption, oppression, suppression, right? Now the same Ali Kabari involved so back today. Salon people them when they watch this perspective of the Guna, when they open their eyes, they go up with nation. With the left and except communicator, if you want to say any last word there, and then Channel himself say last word, we close out.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ibrahim. You better way you remind people of this Alikaba who involved in the 1991 civil war. The same man and don't come back. We see them they go and work on all their side and then border then they both say then they win by force and they both say they go and get a command. The same man and involved for each salon money go fraud people them. With the temple they say now begin to look at people we want come for government, not just the presidency. People when they elect for be ministers, what are the track records? You know what happened, Ibrahim? After the war, they never tried them immediate theater because the people who commit crime and they are free, when we not commit better crime than in the South Rwanda, Ali Kabas and others, they work free, we then count war, rape people then, cut people and burn people then, do all kinds of things. Then they work free. Then make you don't get money free with impunity. Why they judge the case? Now insult to Israel, now insult to intelligence. For like the African Express expose this money, now they take it to somebody, they take and
yeah, sorry, it looked like I lost comrade there and but Comrade, sorry, yes, I lost you. Yeah, you say yes. Take this money back. Go ahead, comrade.
At the time for telling people, say this government is time for abuse with intelligence. If I let the high level after the government say we intelligence as a low is high. We know to full man them. We know exactly what's good and what's bad. People supposed to challenge God. Even know it's an insult to we. For let them can begin for twist the case that they say for New York. A judge, you don't get business for go look for evidence. You get evidence before you start the prosecution. Before you start your trial, you get the evidence. That means based on the evidence, now you begin the trial. Hey, but how many years when I don't come, now I say when I go to New York, just because the one twist by force, by fire by force, the one involves Samura Kamara. But this one, who watch this matter, I will not say judge not get nothing. Fisher don't become bad person ever since. No to say that person is honest. Like the most dishonest for the as president person, I might don't destroy salute judiciary than any other person. Even as magistrate, they find out for corruption, they pull up. From there, you come back now, they go make case enough for win to case. From there back, they pull out that the entire judicial system and pull out for prosecution. Now they come to the judge. What would expect? People supposed to understand it right.
Absolutely. Chair, close up for me, brah. I get the last word.
I just want to thank everybody. I think that we don't witness, we don't get a very good discussion, and we look forward. We publish an article in the African Express. They publish an article in the African Express. An article in the African Express will contain all of these details and more with documentary evidence of the transactions again in 2019. So when I look forward to that article, we hope it will come out by Sunday evening.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. Have a beautiful Saturday and a great weekend.